So far, Tasha said slowly, you've talked about a mysterious conspiracy to abduct psychics and possibly use them in some way. But you can't tell me who they are or what they want with the psychics. You can't tell me who's in charge. You can't tell me the end game. You can't even tell me much about this organization you're supposed to be a part of, a group fighting these supposed bad guys. It does sound unlikely, Brody admitted. It sounds insane, no offense. None taken. What can I do to convince you? Caught a bit off guard, she replied. I have no idea. You're a telepath, you said so. Read my thoughts. I thought you said most psychics couldn't read you. Unless I let them. I'm letting you. Once I let my guard down, most telepaths can read me. Tasha frowned, then shook her head. Just because you honestly believe something doesn't make it true. Look deeper, he invited calmly. Look as deep as you need to. It's not fun dropping my walls all the way, she told him. There aren't a lot of people around, but there are some, and I'd have to sift through all their thoughts in order to find yours. His brows rose slightly. You can read everyone around us. Probably, but why does that surprise you? She was still frowning at him. He didn't answer right away, and when he did, it was slowly. It's unusual. Most telepaths have limits. The thoughts of each individual, the electromagnetic energy in the brain, produces a unique signature. Think about radio frequencies. Not every receiver can pick up every frequency. To my knowledge, it's the same with telepaths. You have a finite range of frequencies you're sensitive to. Therefore, you can only read people whose unique electromagnetic energy signatures fall into your range. I guess I've been meeting all those people then. Your whole life? A little impatient, Tasha said. I tend to go to a lot of trouble to avoid trying to read people, especially in crowds. All I can tell you is that I've never not been able to read someone when I tried. Sometimes the thoughts are only surface, bits and pieces, phrases, and sometimes it's hard to understand them because they're jumbled or confused, but I've always been able to pick up something. If anything, Brody just looked grim. I see. She stared at him. Did I say something wrong? No, it's just that you may have just answered a question I've had since we stumbled onto Duran's goons watching you. Distracted, she said, that's how you found me? By finding them? That's how. Not so unusual. He has better resources, or at least knows how to best use them. You weren't exactly hiding, but you weren't using your abilities in any ways to attract attention. So how did they find me? I have no idea, Brody confessed, but the strength of your abilities may have something to do with it. You aren't telling me with a lot of confidence here, Guardian, Tasha told him. Just because I don't have all the answers doesn't mean I don't know how to keep you safe. Now, are you going to read me or not? Because this won't work unless you at least believe I'm trying to help you. Tasha hesitated for another moment, but finally closed her eyes and very carefully lowered her walls. But as careful as she was immediately slammed by the thoughts of those all around her, thoughts and fragments of thoughts she had to pick her way around and through. They so need a new cook in this place. This muffin sucks. Really, I don't know why I should listen to his mother. And if I'm really convincing, he's probably good for another 1,000 at least. Thinks she can take my kids. Should have spoken up at that meeting, damn it. They'll never notice me at this rate. I can trade my car for something cheaper, and that'll help. Poor little thing. Christ, you've never heard of tipping the waitstaff? How could anyone be so cruel to something so helpless? Why do they keep sending me so many damn catalogs? Why, he thinks I have to go to church. Sitting in church doesn't make me a Christian any more than sitting in a garage makes me a car, and it doesn't make him one either. First thing tomorrow, I'll just ask for the raise. They can only say no, right? Something back on my taxes this year, so I really should just kill the bitch. Wow, Astrid said softly, her eyes still closed. Duran remained at the window, but his head turned toward her. Now I know why you want her so badly. Are you in? He asked. Almost. Give me a sec. Shouldn't blame me. And one more bet won't break the bank. Judge will give me custody, I'm sure. Tasha. She went very still and focused on that voice. Not at all surprised that it sounded to her like his speaking voice, because that was usual, she had discovered. She methodically closed out the other voices, the other thoughts, until only that quiet question sat in her mind. Tasha? Yes. She spoke aloud because it was less confusing to her. So you can read me? Yes. Okay, look deeper. Tasha hesitated because she had looked beneath the level of surface thoughts only a few times in her life, and it had never been a pleasant experience. Look deeper. You have to know, have to understand. You have to trust me. She drew a breath and braced herself, making what she knew would be a futile attempt to protect herself from what he had felt. Everything he had felt. That was something she hadn't told him, that it wasn't just thoughts she picked up from others. It was emotions too. There were jagged pictures, like pieces cut from a movie, the scene here, an action there, calm moments, desperate moments, flashing past her faster and faster, years of moments, some in color, some in black and white, and with them came the pain and the loss, the anger and frustration, the brief triumphs and more lasting grief. There was violence in his past, and danger, and a black rage, and sorrow so deep and overwhelming she knew he had not yet dealt with it consciously. So deep. She was too deep. It was dangerous to be so. Tasha. Something tugged at her. Something pulled her even deeper, deeper than emotion, into a raw, primal place that was dark and terrifying. You aren't Brody. What are you doing in his mind? At the extreme edge of her awareness, she thought Brody became aware that something was wrong, became alarmed, but then she was pulled deeper still, and she no longer heard or felt him at all. How are you doing this? It's his mind. I'm still there. Are you really, Tasha? She opened her eyes with a start, and she was no longer sitting in a chair outside the coffee shop. Instead, she found herself in what looked like a maze, with hedges towering much taller than she was, their branches reaching inward above her head, blocking out the light, if there was light. She stood at a junction with mossy paths leading ahead of her, to the right of her and to the left, and even from where she stood, she could see other junctions, paths leading off in many directions, dim green tunnels that led to places she instinctively knew were very, very bad. Oh, how do you know until you try, Tasha? Don't you want to explore what's possible? I know you're curious. I want out of here. Then find your way. Mocking, careless, cruel. She was being tugged toward the left and wanted to resist the guidance, but something told her that fighting this, whatever this was, would make it far harder on her. Smart girl. Who the hell are you? Don't you mean what am I? You're another telepath. You think I don't know that? If you knew that, then you must know who I am. Tasha turned to the left and began walking, feeling colder with every step, aware that there was less and less light. And when she concentrated, probed, when she tried to find identity in that strange voice, all she found were shadows. Shadows all around you. I can't see you, but you're there, aren't you? Hidden by the shadows, protected by them? Well, I wouldn't go that far. Hidden, yes, but not protected. Hidden because it suits them. Can't you feel them, Tasha? Don't you know what they are? No, just shadows, sliding away whenever I try to get closer to them. Just as well, I suppose. Why? Why is it just as well? Because they're killing you, Tasha, right now, this very minute.